Hi everyone, welcome back to The Whole Truth. I'm Gillar Bell. Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday I was listening to an X space entitled Bombshell about Blake Neff, and it was largely populated by conspiracy theorists, Candace Owens supporters, and other followers who have been pushing these narratives. On the other side was Gary Melton of Paramount Tactical, who consistently relied on logic, science, critical thinking, and actual investigative principles. What struck me most was the difference in how each side approached the discussion. Gary repeatedly explained the evidence using science, forensic principles, and logical reasoning. He used terminology that, frankly, seemed to be over the heads of many of the people arguing against him. And rather than responding to his arguments, many resorted to personal attacks, emotional outbursts, and obvious frustration whenever their preferred narrative was challenged. One woman even asked Gary how many people he had killed, apparently attempting to compare his credentials with Rob O'Neill. But that completely missed the point, obviously. Rob O'Neill has military experience, which deserves respect, but he has not conducted the forensic investigation in this case. Simply saying, based on SEAL experience, that something doesn't look like a gunshot is not a substitute for actual medical examiner's findings or forensic investigation. And contrast that with the evidence supporting the conclusion that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk. And we have mountains of it, with more to come. We have surveillance footage. We have vehicle evidence. We expect cell phone tower data, and I've seen it, but it didn't come out at the prelim. We have substantial DNA evidence recovered from multiple items, including the firearm Tyler Robinson had allegedly used and which was recovered nearby. We have text messages in which Tyler Robinson admits to killing Charlie Kirk. We have Discord messages that do the same. We have the fact that he surrendered. And perhaps most tellingly, we have no alibi whatsoever. The defense had not presented any evidence placing Tyler Robinson somewhere else at the time of the murder. And if someone lives 3.5 hours away, such as Tyler, you would expect something, anything, that demonstrates they were elsewhere. Yet we've seen none of that. Instead, the discussion on the conspiracy side revolves around attacking people personally. And one of the things that really stood out to me was how offended they became whenever criticism of Candace Owens was made. In fact, one person implied that because Candace is pregnant, she somehow deserves immunity from criticism. The complete lack of self-awareness was astonishing. Remember, Erica Kirk, the widow of Charlie, has been subjected to one of the most vicious smear campaigns I've ever seen. And her only crime was losing her husband. She has been accused of unspeakable things by the likes of Candace Owens and others. Yet somehow these individuals become deeply offended when criticism is directed back at members of their own movement. Quite the double standard. I don't think that the group actually ever even got into the bombshell. I could be wrong. Because once Gary left the space, they largely refused to allow any meaningful dissent and instead spent the remainder of the discussion congratulating each other and reinforcing their own beliefs. And it just became an echo chamber. But my biggest takeaway from the space was the sheer level of self-indulgence. Now, I don't look down on people just because they're ignorant or unintelligent. Everyone has different strengths. But when ignorance and stupidity is combined with pride and indulgence, and people wear it like a badge of honor and reject evidence simply because it conflicts with what they already believe, I think that becomes dangerous. And in many ways, that's even more dangerous than somebody that's just motivated by bad motives. So while on our side, yes, there was mockery of those individuals, and I think it was deserved because of how absurd their claims are, we also have something else going for us, and that's basic human decency. We respect the grieving widow. And we don't attack anyone for asking honest questions. There's nothing wrong with questioning an official narrative. In fact, skepticism is good. But eventually, skepticism has to yield to evidence. And in this case, the official FedSlop account is supported by an overwhelming body of evidence. Evidence that continues to grow, not by speculation, but by surveillance footage, forensic evidence, digital evidence, witness testimony, and the findings of trained professionals. And it's believed by virtually everyone connected to the victim and the investigation. So to accept the conspiracy theory, you have to believe that virtually everyone is participating in a massive cover-up. From Dr. Christensen of the Utah Office of the Medical Examiner, who concluded that Charlie Kirk died from a gunshot wound consistent with the .30 caliber rifle, to Tyler Robinson's defense. At some point, evidence has to matter more than internet speculation. Unfortunately, the people in that X space don't appear interested in the evidence or in finding the truth. They're only interested in protecting the narrative they have already chosen to believe. That's the whole truth.